Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Before, and this is such an incredible demotion. They don't really have posts anymore. Why is that? Twitter! Everybody's got an embarrassing tweet somewhere. I know I do. Now, a couple of years ago, there was a big disaster here at the Oscars where they accidentally read out the wrong name, and it was nobody's fault, but they have guaranteed that this will not happen this year because the Academy has switched to the new Iowa caucus app.
Last night, Oscars. Didn't watch any of it just because I didn't see any of the movies. I've never seen any of the movies. I'm like, is Michael Bay, did he make a movie? Right? Is there explosions in it? Like, tell me, I probably saw more Razzies than I saw any of these movies. In fact, I was going through the winners list last night, and I'm like, nope, 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 nope. Pretty much what it was. Nope, nope, nope. Not a lot going on there. We'll touch on that, though. Was it interesting? I saw some of the highlights, and it was the usual stuff, you know. We hate Trump. Climate change. We hate Trump. Climate change. Open borders. Climate change. We hate Trump. A lot of that stuff. That gets old. I don't care what side. Even if I was a hardcore Democrat, it's like I don't care about that. Right? I don't come to you for that. I don't go to political pundits and experts to watch them act. I don't come to you for politics. I come for entertainment. Right? That's what people do. But it was interesting. It was very interesting to watch some of the highlights. I was driving last night, too. It was the other thing. I got home late, went and saw Jack. Very interesting conversation we'll talk about in a little bit with some Navy people and some civilians that I had about Trump. And I was really surprised about what they say. Still going, still battling, still having this thing going on over and over again. Friday, Trump just absolutely went out and just, that was it. It was his Friday massacre. Vindman and his twin brother gone. Sondland gone. And now we're in a situation where people are looking around going, oh, my God, what's going to happen? I'll tell you what's happening. Trump is being Trump. Don't expect anything different. I had a very interesting conversation or text back and forth with somebody who's nearish to the president, if you will, and about some of the things he said. But I'll tell you what, it was a very interesting thing just this weekend talking to people, which I don't normally like to do. Right? Jack's like, hey, Dad, you're sitting there because the kids wanted to go swimming. It's San Diego. It's like 64 degrees outside, sprinkling, but the pool's like 75. And I'm like, I'm going to sit in the jacuzzi for a little while. You guys do your thing. And I was sitting there and people started coming. This guy's like, hey, I listen to your podcast. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. And then we got into this thing. And we're talking. And normally, I just don't like doing that. It's like I'm hanging out with my kids, the weekend. I'm enjoying myself. But it was very interesting to listen to people talk about, like, get into this massive debate in a jacuzzi. We're all sitting there, right? I'm waiting for Jack to get out. I've dried off, and they're just still talking. There's like 10 people in there now just arguing about Trump. And it was just such a very interesting thing. But the reality is they all kind of said the same thing. It's Trump versus the Democratic Party, and that is very real.
2020 will be a genuine choice between a very radical Democratic Party. You have a bitterness on the left that Trump won, and you have a growing bitterness on the right that no matter how many investigations there are, there's always going to be the next one. They're already, in the House, they're already talking about subpoenaing the former National Security Advisor, John Bolton.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not done. Talking about bringing everybody in, right? Anybody and everybody who's had things to do with Trump and this phone call and everything in between, that's what they're talking about. Bring him in, bring him in, bring him in, bring him in. This is what we're doing. This is it. This is it. This is it. You just sit there and you think, really, is this what we're doing now? My God. Yeah, it's never ending. Trump even joked about it. I think it was Thursday or Friday. He says, they're already preparing the next one. They're just waiting. I could cross the street wrong and they'll figure out what I did and they're going to bring it in. I'm like, there's no way. An average person is sitting there thinking to themselves, all right, we've gotten through this stuff. It's just, you can't do it again. If a year and a half, we're back at it again, and they're looking at doing it again, at some point in time, don't you just all step back and say, look, get over it. It's over. It's done. It's dusted. I'm just saying. Really. There's no way they can do it again. I think they could. I absolutely think they could. And I think they will at some point in time. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. I did, like I said, I watched some of the highlights of the Oscars. They were the usual stuff, right? You had some funny things out there as usual.
Jeff Bezos is so rich, he got divorced, and he's still the richest man in the world. He saw Marriage Story and thought it was a comedy.
I thought that was funny. A lot of other stuff that was in there was just very political, right? And I'm just like, that's just not my deal.
I was really disappointed with this week. And I think when gamemanship trumps doing the right thing, it's a sad day, and I don't think we should let it slide.
Brad Pitt won an Oscar. Shouldn't let it slide. Don't let it slide. All right. Let's not let it slide. It was just, am I wrong? Right? Like, even if you like movies and even if you like stuff, at some point in time, don't you just want to break away from all of that? Isn't that what the whole thing about movies is? To get into, like, that's one of the reasons I don't see movies that are super deep and involved and stuff. It's like, my whole day is that way, right? I deal with this stuff 24/7. I love a good story, but I also like to be able to go and watch something and spend 90 minutes not thinking about other things like politics and craziness and lunacy. I like that. I like that I can go into a situation where I'm not going to lose myself for 90 minutes or 2 hours, where it's something that's completely stupid. That's what I enjoy. And they have every right to come out and do what they do. I got zero problem with that. But at some point in time, it's just like, oh, God, it's just nonstop. And I love the fact that they are on their perch talking about all this stuff, talking about what you shouldn't be and shouldn't do with your life, just giving these bizarre speeches at times. And it's just, it's interesting to watch them. Now, as they're giving all of these things last night, I'm like laughing because I know as they're talking about, the inequities and all these things, this is what the goodie bag was last night. So you go to these things, you get a gift bag, you get Oscar swag. This year's gift bag was a paltry $200,000. I just want you guys to understand that. Average medium income in the U.S., about $63,000. They got $200,000 in swag. A gold-plated vape pen. A 12-day cruise at $78,000. Futuristic headbands. Right? It's the Muse S handbands. So you put this thing on and it detects your brain waves while meditating. If it senses too many thoughts, it will play stormy weather sounds. You get a vacation on an active lighthouse, right? As part of it's just off the Canary Islands. And the cruise, again, 12 scenic days eclipse cruise on a mega yacht that has butler service and 8 restaurants on board. A $10,000 certificate for a private Coda signature cannabis-infused chocolate tasting. And they're going to get up there and tell you, hey, this is what you should and shouldn't do. That's the thing that I think frustrates people. Right? That's the stuff that makes me go, I get it, but I get frustrated. Watched a little bit of debates on Friday night, and then I had to switch over to live PD. There's only so much I can handle. Talk about that. New Hampshire's tomorrow. Right? Debates Friday. This is their last weekend to make some sort of move. Right? Some sort of huge, like, this is it. And the person who's really, really in trouble is Joe Biden. Joe Biden is absolutely, now he's, according to new polls, he's sitting 5th. So 4th in Iowa, 5th potentially in New Hampshire, pretty much no big lead like he had in South Carolina, and he's got Nevada before that. He could be in a situation where after these 4, he could be done. So they had one last chance to make an impression this weekend in Massachusetts or New Hampshire, depending on who your candidate is.
It is up to you, Massachusetts.
So she said, it's up to you, Massachusetts. That's Elizabeth Warren, except for their New Hampshire.
To decide what to do. Totally blew it on that one. And to the people of New Hampshire.
323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Oh, man, so much stuff to get to. But first, let me tell you something. 4 days away. What are you doing? Valentine's Day is almost here. 1-800-Flowers.com. Today only. 18 stem Enchanted Rose Medley, $29.99. That's right. 18 stem Enchanted Rose Medley, $29.99. Roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak, shipped overnight to ensure freshness. It is incredible. You're going to win the day. All you have to do is go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click on the radio icon, type in code Benson. You get this amazing deal from 1-800-Flowers. It's the Enchanted Rose Medley for $29.99. You pick the delivery date. They handle the rest. When it comes to impressing her on Valentine's, trust the Rose Authority, 1-800-Flowers.com. So order these 18-stem Enchanted Rose Medleys. Again, $29.99. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com. Click on the radio icon right there. Type in code Benson. You're going to win the day. Pick your delivery date and away it goes. Order today and save big. 1-800-Flowers.com. Code Benson. Hurry, though. Offer expires today. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where the sensible center hangs out. Hey, you! That doesn't mean you can put your feet up on the table.
You're despicable.
This is Chad Benson.
I don't know how or why it happened, but I am king of an army of internet trolls called Bernie Bros. Could I stop them in their tracks? Of course. Should I? Yes. Will I?
That's real, by the way. The Bernie Bros are real. Like, you say anything against, even if you endorse Bernie and they don't like you, they will come for you.
You are a loud crowd.
Say one thing bad about Bernie Sanders online anywhere, and strident Sanders supporters may attack you personally. Multiple targets described to CNN what they call a Sanders swarm, an online army of supporters on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, some even digging into their personal lives, trying to out their identity, bully, and frighten them into silence.
Yeah, that's very real, and that's ugly. And he's kind of like, he half-asses it, right? Like the joke there that you heard from Larry David. Can I? Will I? That's the reality of it. It's how ugly it's gotten. And Bernie, they've got, like, you go to Reddit and you go to a few other, they've got like hundreds of thousands of people that will attack you. They come for you. And on the Democratic side, there's nobody even close to Bernie as far as the activity that goes on online. He's got 10 million Twitter followers. His Facebook for his campaign alone has 5 million followers. And, I mean, it's nowhere near what Trump has, but it is still, I mean, and Trump has his own trolls. Everybody's got a troll. Everybody's got a troll. I don't have a troll. I don't. My uncle's a troll. I love him to death. Man, he's a troll. We talk about it all the time. Like, Paul, he is the biggest troll. And he's like, I just get a kick out of it. And he trolls in person, too. So think about this. So my uncle, big Mexican dude, if you saw him, yes, we're related. Yes, I'm of the Latino flavor. Yes, so big dude. He wears his MAGA hat everywhere. His wife will be like, no. I'm like, she goes, oh, man. Karma's not going to let me wear it out. Because we'll go places and he's got his hat on and people just, they just throw a fit. But he does it for fun. Some of these people get really into it, like ridiculously into it. And you can't say anything. Even, was it 2 weeks ago, Joe Rogan, biggest podcast probably in the world, right? Streams it live, kicks butt, has a good time, does his thing. He endorsed Bernie because he thought he was the most authentic of all the candidates out there. And they went after him hardcore. So even endorsing him may get you hammered.
the World Health Organization has kind of said we're at this holding pattern, this breaking point where, it's pretty bad here in Asia. The numbers are fairly extreme. More than 37,000 people around the world, but again, mostly in China, have been infected by this. The rates of death are somewhat high. It's around 2% right now that's being reported. The other big problem here is that there's just so much distrust of the local government.
Yeah, and that's not changing at all. The local government and what they're doing. And the Chinese have a lot to worry about because nobody's believing what they're saying. How is there a town, a city of about 13 million people, Wuhan, that is completely empty? You're hearing that they're arresting people that are going out there and who may be infected by the coronavirus. People are asking the questions about some of the people that are, quote unquote, the whistleblowers.
A case that really got a lot of people's attention was the case of this doctor. He's in his mid-30s, and he's been seen as a whistleblower. It said that him and other doctors came forward warning about how bad this virus was in Wuhan, again, the epicenter of this outbreak. And it said that the Chinese government cracked down on him and other doctors, brought him in for questioning. Now, he has sadly now since died from the disease. Like, many people are saying, we need to listen to people like him. How can we trust a communist government to give us the real answers to how many people are infected with this disease?
I don't know if you can. Now, there's a couple Americans with it, and it was very interesting because they were asking about this one lady about what it was like.
It's not debilitating at all. The only thing that I ever experienced was a cough and a mild fever, both of which have basically resolved.
Yeah, she's stuck on a cruise ship.
It doesn't even feel like a cold, to be perfectly honest. I wouldn't have known that there was anything wrong with me if they hadn't tested me.
What's the real answer, right? I don't know. That is it. But it's definitely, we're over, 30, 40, 50,000? Who knows? Could be 100,000 infected. Could be several thousand dead. We don't know the real number because we're expecting China to deliver us the real number. This has killed more than SARS. That I do know. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me and text the program as well. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Little by little, candidate Trump's promise of a barrier separating the U.S. from Mexico is being realized. This week, President Trump will lay out a budget proposal that includes $2 billion in new funding for border wall construction. That's significantly less than last year's request, but the Defense Department is expected to announce that more Pentagon funds will go toward the project. The president saying that he doesn't need congressional approval to redirect military money to the wall.
Yeah, and the wall that was huge. I mean, for all the other stuff, Trump, the noise that Trump made during the campaign when he was running, coming down the, escalator, and then away he went. But it was the walls. That's where he was making his noise. The wall. It was about the wall over and over again, about the wall. It was the wall. It was making that noise over and over again. And then everything else. Well, the wall hasn't gotten done. There's been very little that's been built. And some of the places, including the place down in San Diego that was built, blew over and fell into Mexico. So that's not good. Now, there's plenty of wall. I drive between essentially my house through the certain parts of Arizona, past Yuma, into San Diego to go see Jack. And you can see a wall. It's a fence. Not much of it. It's a desolate area. And I've been down to Yuma and seen some of the wall that Obama built. But at the end of the day, it's a symbolic thing. I'm going to get this done. He mentioned last week inside of his speech that, of course, ended up being the speech that was torn up, torn around the world and all that stuff, and the non-handshake. Hey, many of you guys in here who are on the other side, you guys voted for Wall at one time, which is true. This shows you what gamesmanship goes on in the world of politics in this day and age. And it's ridiculous. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anybody. Some of the wall may be built. I want to see what this budget looks like because he's going to be cutting some things, putting some money back towards the military, putting some money towards Veterans Affairs, cutting some safety nets. What does that actually look like? And what actually gets through? That, at the end of the day, is the most important thing. What actually gets through, right? We talk about stuff all the time about, people worried of socialism and all of these massive, crazy, programs that people want to put through that are just, they're eye-popping. And the debates are one of these things where Biden had an awful debate. He's had an awful month, and it's showing in the polls, but he did get one good shot in. And it's the thing I continue to push. If the moderators, right? Stephanopoulos and them and David Muir, the moderators, whoever's moderating it, you are in so many ways as important as them because your questions and how you can control the thing will give the people the answer that they're looking for. And too often than not, people ignore what they're doing and they listen to, I was listening to the debate on the way home Friday night. And as I'm listening to it, I'm just shaking my head because everything Bernie says, you're just like, nobody's coming back at him hard, but Biden did.
Bernie says that you have to bring people together and we have to have Medicare for all. But Bernie says, and he says he wrote the damn thing, but he's unwilling to tell us what the damn thing's going to cost. Who's going to pay for it? It will cost more than the entire federal budget we spend now. More than the entire budget. The idea middle-class taxes aren't going to go up is just crazy.
Yeah, right. And he's already said, well, of course they're going to go up, but you just don't have a deductible, and you don't have, you have copays, or you don't have any of these things. Well, yeah, that's true, but if, you're paying $1,000 a month now for you and your family, and you're taking out $1,500 or, $2,000 a month, well, that's not going to happen. How do you know it's not going to happen? Nobody ever asked you. Okay, Bernie, let me ask you a question. Say for the sake of argument, you're able to pass this thing. We'll touch on that in a second. And all of a sudden, the thing that you've passed costs more than you thought because it's government. And as we all know, government never really gets it right? They never do. They tell you it's going to cost A and really cost C, right? Jumps right over B at C. And you're like, oh my God, this is insane, right? Where does that extra money come from? Because at some point in time, you're going to run out of other people's money. OPM, other people's money. And then that 1% becomes the 5%. That 5% becomes the 15%. That 15% becomes everybody. And that hurts. But before any of that, before we can even get to that, how the hell do you get it passed?
Imagine you're going to unite the country, walking into the Congress, say, I got this bill. It's going to provide Medicare for everybody. I can't tell you how much it's going to cost. We'll find out later. It's likely to be double everything we spend in the federal government. Who do you think is going to get that passed? I busted my neck getting Obamacare passed, getting every Democratic vote. I know how hard it is.
Yeah. So you're going to take over a sixth of the economy, a fifth of the economy. You're going to upend a bunch of people. You're going to put them on this over time. It's not happening overnight, but over time, you're going to do this. I'm curious how this works. I'm curious how you even get it passed. Because even if you have a bit of the Senate and you have the same thing you have in the House now, that's going to be tough. What's that look like? Because just think about this. There's a lot of Democratic senators and Congress people that have lobbyists that they work with from the world of the insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, medical companies, that will look at this and say, so you're going to basically, take our patents? Right? Tell us what we can and can't do? You're going to move, how is this going to work? We helped you. But that's not, no, that's the reality of what it looks like. That's what those things are. That's why you have lobbyists. They go out and do that. We can debate whether or not there should be lobbyists. We can debate, but I've always said people who are lobbyists have something and people who are politicians that have something. One has power and influence. The other one has money and influence. And they're trying to buy each other's influence. I don't see how you get it passed. Even Because there's going to be a lot of conservative Democrats out there that say, yeah, this is a bridge too far for us. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. With all of that being said, of course, Friday was a bloodletting. And then you got Lindsey Graham coming out talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. And I continue to say the same thing. Trump has a Rudy problem.
How could Joe Biden really fight corruption when his son's sitting on the Breeze board?
But can you clarify? You said you talked to Attorney General Barr.
This morning.
Has the Department of Justice been ordered to investigate the Bidens?
No. The Department of Justice is receiving information coming out of the Ukraine from Rudy.
Already?
To see. He told me that they have created a process that Rudy could give information, and they would see if it's verified.
Why? Who cares? Well, Chad, you should care. Why do I care? Why do I care that some kid of a politician is? Do you know how many kids are sitting on politicians sitting on boards across this country and everywhere else? They use the name and get over it. Well, we've got to investigate. At this point in time, I've showed people over and over the time lapse of the entire thing, how the thing broke out, how the thing broke down. Who cares that he was making $80,000 a month? Did he get that job because he has a great idea? No, he got the job because he has the opportunity to go curry favor with other politicians, including his pops. That's a very real thing. It is a very real thing. And if you want to investigate it, I'm just saying to myself, this is it. This is tit for tat. This is stupid.
Rudy Giuliani is a crime fighter. He's loyal to the president. He's a good lawyer. But what I'm trying to say, that the Russians are still up to it. Deterrence is not working. So let's look at Hunter Biden's conflict. Let's look at Joe Biden. Vice President Biden, what did you do when they told you your son was on Burisma's board? It undercut your ability to fight corruption. Did you take it seriously? Obviously, he didn't.
Mm-hmm. Do you know he didn't? I mean, the Obama administration alerted, said there may be some conflicts of interest here. There you go. Look into it a little bit more. That's fine. I just think at some point in time, though, you just got to let it go. Just like the Democrats have to let it go. What are you guys doing? You're chasing a guy and information on a guy that, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much done at this point. If you ask me today, do I think Biden has a chance based on everything I've seen? A small chance. I would have said it was 50-50 4 weeks ago. At this point in time, and just watching him, I don't think his heart is in it. I think he thought he was more up to the task. I think the death of his son, Beau, he has never recovered. Guy's had a lot of tragedy. Lost his wife and kid, his young daughter, when he was, first into the politics, and he's had a lot of tragedy along the way. And I just don't think he's in it. I don't fault the guy for it, but I watch him, and I just don't think there's any there as far as there's no oomph, right? He's running not to lose, and I think it almost looks at times like he's running for other people. He's running for other people. Like, I'm doing this for you, I'm not doing it for me. That a lot of people got in his head, told him this would be great. A lot of people got in his head, said, you can do it. A lot of people got in his head, said, let's go. We can do this. And I think he doesn't want to disappoint some people and let some people down, but I don't think he's into this thing. I just don't. Bernie's into it. Buttigieg, Klobuchar, Warren, Yang, right? They're all into it. I'm not talking about Tom Steyer. He's useless. They're into it. But I don't think Joe is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. You can text us. You can tweet at us. Check out the Instagram as well. I work out a ton. I'm very active. In fact, so far today, let me tell you this. I have done an hour and 20 minutes of working out. And I'll probably do a little bit more later on tonight. Probably play a little bit more soccer tonight. That'll be fun. I love what I do, and I love Beat Elite. Beat Elite is incredible. It really, really, really is. So it gives me a natural edge. So I get more out of playing soccer, get more out of my workouts. That's why I started taking it. So Human created Beat Elite. It helps extend endurance, improve energy and stamina, increases oxygen delivery throughout the entire body. That's why, especially when I'm playing soccer, normally I try to do about 35 minutes on my own of just hard workout. And I've noticed that my workouts are getting longer and I'm feeling better because I try to squish everything in between all of my shows, and it's amazing. It really, really is. You're going to feel it. You're going to get into it. You're going to love what it does for you. Check this out. Beat Elite is used by all kinds of massive superstar athletes and organizations across the globe. Now's your chance. Do what I did. Make your workout longer. Feel better. Take your game to the next level with Beat Elite. Go to livehuman.com/Chad. You can save 20% off your first purchase just for my listeners. They wanted to give it to somebody to try who does work out on a daily basis, does stuff. That's why they give it to me, and I love it. Try it yourself. You're going to feel better. Absolutely. You're going to see the difference, too. You're going to feel it. That is livehuman.com/Chad. Livehuman.com/Chad. Save now. Chad Benson.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
I can't believe all this mess happened in Iowa because of an app. Hey, I have an idea for an app. It's called No Apps. No apps, no computers, no gadgets, no gizmos. You show up to your polling place, take a number like you do with the butcher. They call your ticket. You walk up to the counter and say to the guy, "Give me a pound of whatever's about to go bad."
Yeah, they kind of roasted them. It was kind of funny. Some of it, I think you could do better, right? Like, I think you can. You know, there's great. Larry David hits it out of the park pretty much every time. And oddly enough, it's kind of the look, because the reality is his voice is nowhere. I mean, so many other people do a better voicing, but it's just the way that he comes at him on there that makes it funny.
This is my favorite part of the debate, where we ask about winning the black vote. I'm going to start with you, Mayor Pete.
Oh, man. Look, people, say I'm not very popular among minorities. They've been referring to me as Mayo Pete. But I assure you, I'm not that spicy.
Calling Jost there. Again, it was Anthony said something better, because should have had a 12-year-old come out, just some kid, randomly. Just come out and do those. But they did come after him, for a change, right? Because it's easy to do Trump, right? It's easy to do Trump. It's easy to come out and go after Trump. It is. But they come hard, at least. They're trying when it comes to the Democrats. Because here's the thing. I mean, so much of what they do, what if Bernie wins? Bernie, if you were to ask them, who would you want to win? From a comedy standpoint, it's Bernie or Elizabeth Warren, right? Bloomberg, they do is okay. And it was funny because they said this Democratic debate is brought to you by Bloomberg. If you're thinking to yourself, this is the best we can do, Bloomberg. Could have done better. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Valentine's Day, not too far away, and it's on a Friday.
Hey, Cupid, Valentine's Day is Friday. Saved your money to do something nice for your sweetie?
Around $50 is what the average person spends on a gift. Some people up to $100.
Wallet Hub analyst Jill Gonzalez says that means most people will get roses or chocolates or champagne. Probably not all three. And some people, well, they're just not feeling too romantic at all this year.
Around a third of us are not spending anything on a Valentine's Day gift.
But it is the thought that counts, right? Daria Albinger, ABC News.
Is it really the thought that counts? Is that the way it really is? Is it the thought that counts? I don't know. I debate whether or not it is the thought that counts. You might think it's the thought that counts. Now, I understand that there's people like me. I would now Friday night is like, I wouldn't want to go out, right? Like you could do, let's do it Saturday, right? Let's do it where we're not fighting with 95,000 other couples and people out to dinner. But you have to do something, because if you don't, right, like birthday and this, you get those two right, you're pretty much free to mess up a few other times that you may forget. Anniversary, yeah, birthday, again, it depends if you're married or not, but birthday, this, and anniversary, you get those right, you're all right. You survive, fellas. If you don't, you become Mitt Romney. Where they're talking about excommunicating you, and you're like, oh, my God, I can't believe this. So win the day, get it right, And don't be that person. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com. Use code Benson. Get it right. That's all you got to do. Get it right. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Some more Oscar goodies in the $200,000 grab bag. All right. You get a Peasy Midstream, which is a urine testing kit that's supposed to improve the accuracy of testing for infections. They'll be able to pair this with a $499 genetic test. Right. You already get the $78,000 cruise. You're going to stay on a lighthouse that's working just off the Canary Islands. Right. You get your gold plated vape pen that serves up THC water, clear. Goodness me. You get a Remo Security Will-Built bullet-resistant door, a 5-night stay at the Waikiki Beachcomber Outrigger, which is beautiful, right? You get a Tempsur Invive treatment, which is supposed to tighten your skin, a silk kimono robe from Soma, a 1-year matchmaking membership as well to the elite British service called Drawing Down the Moon. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We love President Trump because we won't lose our country to communists again. We are American now, and we will fight and defend our country to the last breath.
Yeah, that's a New Hampshire voter who loves the Trumpster. You've got New Hampshire tomorrow night. Iowa, by the way, still an absolute disaster and mess. Not quite sure. I mean, I don't trust anything that comes out. Every time you hear something or read something, it's a disaster. Then you have the guy, Troy Price is his name, who's the head of the Iowa Democrats, right? He's the chair there, who admitted, I didn't really try the app. Nobody really tried it. So that you went with something that was you didn't even try the app. You didn't even say, let's try it. Like, not beta tested. You turned down Homeland Security when they said, let's try. You didn't even try it. It is a disaster. It is absolutely disaster. And yet last week, Tom Perez, who's the head of the DNC across the board, saying, hey, enough is enough. We got to do this stuff. Let's recanvass it. I don't know where it stands. I think let's call it a draw. And now on to New Hampshire, which is tomorrow night.
It's coming at a time where, at least among Democratic voters here in New Hampshire and across the country, so many are still undecided. I mean, a lot of the polls here in New Hampshire say up to 40% of the Democrats may still be choosing between the candidates. So you have lots of events happening at a time when people are paying attention and still uncertain.
Yeah. I mean, they're uncertain. What does it look like? Buttigieg has made some headway in there, which he's really done surprisingly well. Klobuchar, right, has done surprisingly well. Elizabeth Warren, this is, we joke about the fact that she messed it up and said, come on, Massachusetts. And she's like, oh, my God, I messed it up. This is New Hampshire. But it is very close. I mean, Warren and Sanders, this is truly their neck of the woods. A little bit more progressive, not that middle of the road. The fact that Buttigieg has made some headwaves is very interesting.
This is your backyard. If you do not have a strong finish in this state, are you concerned about what type of message that sends into the next contest?
So look, I didn't start by doing polls a year ago, and I still don't do polls. For me, it's about having a chance to get out and talk to people.
Yeah. But you've got to look at some polls, right? Take an average. 3 or 4 polls that you trust that are going to give you because you go look at these polls and they're all over the world. They're all over the place. There are ones over here and the ones over there, and somebody's up by 12 and then they're over here, they're dead even. They're not going to be perfect, but you should have an idea of what is there. You should. I still think tomorrow it's Bernie's to lose. I think Buttigieg may finish second, which would be a surprise. I think a lot of people thought Warren would. The big thing is Biden going to finish fifth? That is a possibility. That is an absolute possibility.
Former Vice President Joe Biden declared a win in New Hampshire an uphill battle, but launched new attacks on the frontrunners, ridiculing Buttigieg's modest resume on ABC's This Week.
What has he done? Who has he pulled together? Does he know any of the foreign leaders?
And casting Sanders as a risk to the Democratic Party for being too left.
And that's a very real thing. And he's not the only one, right? You've got several other people. James Carville is beyond frustrated in the way this whole thing has gone about and the way that the Democrats, I mean, you look at them. He talked about a lot of things, the disaster that was Iowa, but other things as well.
Apparently, the turnout in Iowa was not what I would expect. People are telling me it's more like 2016, 2018. The polling averages have not been very good the last 10 days. Seen some pretty good polls that show enthusiasm among Democrats is not as high as we might like it. So there's something as people are watching this process that is concerning them.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing about Trump, right? Like Trump does Trump things. He evokes an emotion out of people. Trump gets people either excited or angry. Very few people can sit there and compartmentalize each thing with him and be very non-emotional about it, right? Very few. I look at Trump and I think, I like what you did over here. I don't like what you did here. I look at Trump and I say, I can't stand what you did here. And then I could say, I like what you did here. People want you to pick a side, right? Which I think is stupid. First of all, and I will remind you this over and over again, you should be a free agent every time you go and vote for somebody. And the minute you cast that vote, you're a free agent. The minute you cast your vote, they need to work for you. You're on a contract with them that ends here. Somebody else has your chance to win your vote. It's different with Trump, right? In this economy, without Trump's polarization, we wouldn't be having any of these conversations. We'd be saying to ourselves, do you think he gets 60, 65% of the vote? What do you think? But because of who he is, because he's so polarizing, because he's just goes out and just hammers people, and because the media gives it right back to him and he gives it to them, the emotions that are out there make it so this isn't going to be a landslide. It may be close, close, close. It's not going to be a walk away for the Democrats, but it's not going to be a walk away for Trump either. But what are the Democrats? And that's a serious question.
We don't win elections because we talk about stuff that is not relevant. We had a great experience in 2018, and the day after, we started all this goofy stuff. So hopefully we got time to jerk this thing back and be about health care and prescription drug prices and education and infrastructure and climate and diplomacy and rejuvenating, whatever it is. But this is not happening so far. And we can't act like this is going well.
Yeah. And that's it. You're playing identity politics. How many people can you fit into the check the box area? Right? So, all right, trans, African American, Native American. I mean, you start checking all the boxes, the things you're looking for. And, you know, there's a great saying is if you aim small, you miss small. If you aim big, you hit big. So one thing about Trump is he aims big. He aims big in the sense that he's talking jobs in a real way. He talked about a lot of stuff. One thing Hillary didn't do, everywhere Trump went, he would scream wall. He would talk about this stuff. He would say his little jokes, but in between, he always say jobs. In between, he always say economy. In between, he would throw something else out there that was relevant in the real world, what people are talking about. When I listen to the Democrats, I don't always hear that. I hear a lot of pandering. I hear a lot of just crazy things that, quite frankly, don't seem relevant to a lot of people, to the average person. Because while you're trying to check off the boxes of a very small group of people that you don't want to leave behind, but you're so focused on them that you're missing over here. You've stepped over dollars to pick a penny. You can't do that. That's not the way you win. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Brad Pitt, Best Supporting Actor last night, took a swipe.
They told me I only have 45 seconds up here, which is 45 seconds more than the Senate gave John Bolton this week.
A lot of that stuff, climate change stuff, a lot of swipes. It was the usual, thing that you see in Hollywood. And I didn't watch much of it. First of all, partly because I don't see these movies. All right. I want to see, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I just didn't see it. I didn't see any of the movies last night that were nominated. I don't. The movies I see now, because of Jack and everybody, they're all kids' movies, and I didn't even see Toy Story 4. So it's like I don't see these movies. So, Parasite won the Best Picture. It was a Korean movie. It was about, wealth and equity and greed and class. And it's just, I go to the movies to not think about things. I go to the movies to escape. I go to the movies to get out of my head and all the stuff that's going on. I don't want to go to the movies to be lectured to, or to, there's just some things that I just sit there and go, I don't feel like it. Right? Give me some action, some explosions. Give me a monster. And that's just always been me because, I do so much, especially now. Like, I don't want to, there's just certain times that I just that's it. So I want my 90 minutes of this. And that's one of the reasons I don't watch these award shows. It's like, I don't need to be lectured. I don't want to be lectured. And also, I don't watch them because I never seen any of the movies. So how would I know if they're any good? I hear they're good. They probably are. I'd like to see 1917, but I haven't yet. I say I'm going to go see that, and then I don't have time. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Car Shield. I love having protection from Car Shield. So I have a new car. I love it. Bought it used. Had like 5,000 miles on it. Didn't come with a warranty, though. That's why I just put everything on Car Shield. It's incredible. I love it. I don't have to worry about it. And I got all of the stuff, too. I said, all right, what are you going to do? I want to make sure the electronics, because I have electronics in the car now, right? I got the GPS. I got all that stuff. It's all protected. They got affordable plans starting at $99. Here's the deal. You called them up, though. One thing I do know, you're going to get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop, and the shop's the shop that you pay a small deductible, and then they get them paid directly, so nothing comes out of your pocket. But I know what kind of car you have. Maybe your car's 10 years old, doesn't have all the bells and whistles. Maybe your car's a little bit newer, and you did like me, and you bought a car that was used, but at the same time wasn't coming with any kind of warranty, but it has the bells and whistles. So you tell them exactly what you have, and they'll get the perfect plan for you. Again, rates as low as $99 a month. You got nothing to lose. Get covered by Car Shield today. 800-CAR-6000. Mention code Benson. Saves you 10%. Or go to carshield.com. Carshield.com. Use that code Benson to save 10%. And make sure you look at all the plans that fit the thing that you're looking for your car. Carshield.com. Code Benson. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Plea deal this.
Mueller, arrest me.
Chad will trade you 2 perjury charges for 1 collusion and throw in a reduced charge of obstruction for free.
Yeah, I'd do that.
For just listening to The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? So many good things trending on the old rock and roll internet. Obviously, yesterday was all about the Oscars. All about the Oscars yesterday. And then you move over to today. Lying dog-faced pony soldier. So Biden, we're just talking about, like Biden, he just says stuff. Like he doesn't like what you're saying to him, or you challenge him on something, and he'll just he's like, I'll arm wrestle you. You're like, what? I challenge you to a 40. Like, what? A 40? Like a sprint? Yeah. What's your 40 time? I don't know. You want to do push-ups? I do push-ups. How about one-handed pull-ups? It's so bizarre. So bizarre. Luke Perry, Cameron Boyce are also trending because people are like, why weren't they in the, last night they had the big memorial, right, at the end of the thing, or, they're playing the people that passed away. And why were they not in it? Sid Haig, a great character actor, was in a bunch of horror movies and stuff throughout the years, but in a bunch of other things also not included. And some people are wondering, well, why were they not included in this? Because they too were actors. It's Hollywood, man. They include who they want. Maybe they said something. Maybe they weren't on the right side of the political aisle. I don't know. Move on over to Twitter. What do you think's on Twitter? Again, Twitter's more political than the Google. Google is a lot of fun. Twitter usually just has crazy stuff. Equifax, WrestleMania 37, Valentines Do and Don'ts. I stand with Snoop, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. State of NASA. Big time. What's the state of NASA? I don't know, but I do know we're going to have Space Force. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome, Space Force. Luke Perry also trending. Parasite Best Picture. Don't know. And the coronavirus. Good to see the coronavirus is doing well. Very good to see the coronavirus is staying strong as it continues to do what it's doing, which is essentially moving and growing, and nobody really knows whether or not it's real. As far as what China's telling us. China's saying, hey, it's this. There's about 40,000, 50,000, 30,000, 20,000. What is maybe near 1,000 people dead. Now we're hearing that they're arresting people who have the coronavirus. You've got a city of 13 million people. Think about that. Los Angeles, New York, completely empty. Like the movie 28 Days. Nobody there. How real is it? What do you believe?
President Xi has even said this is a major test for the Chinese system, how they can respond to this. You also see it in places like Hong Kong. They've dealt out for months protesting against the Chinese government. They have a large distrust for the communist regime there. And people in Hong Kong are seeing huge runs on masks going around the block. I know they're seeing this as, we don't trust the Chinese government. We don't trust the numbers that they're telling us. How can we trust them to tell us how bad this really is?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you do. I mean, I don't. It's funny because I can guarantee you I'm going to get 4 or 5 tweets and text messages throughout the day that come in that talk about how I'm lying about the coronavirus. Like they're monitoring me. That it's nowhere near as bad. America's making this all up. And this is all America and the media. None of this stuff is as bad as you think it is. And you're like, well, I'm seeing pictures. Those are all lies. I don't think they're lies. Again, you lied about SARS and how bad it was, and this is way worse. People that have brought attention to this have suddenly gone missing, or the stuff that they talked about is essentially off the net. Can't find it anywhere. So I don't know how bad it is or isn't. What I do know is I don't trust China to tell us the straight skinny on it. That's what I do know. That's exactly what I do know. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I was telling you yesterday, so where Jack lives is great little neighborhood in San Diego area, and it has a lot of Chinese immigrants. And Jack and I went to a store yesterday, and there was about 30 or 40 people in there of Chinese descent, and they all were wearing masks. They were all wearing masks, and it's. I didn't think anything of it because I see it before, and I think it's very much a cultural thing for a lot of people that because of the weather, because of the smog, because of the air over there, they do it a lot more. But if you read anything about the coronavirus, that's not going to help. Not. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Gayle King, the kerfuffle continues. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, feeling the boost from her performance in Friday's debate, brought in her largest crowd to date Sunday in the Granite State.
We have defied expectations. We have met every merit.
A new CNN University of New Hampshire poll shows Sanders topping the field of Democratic candidates.
Yeah, so that's tomorrow. We'll find out if that's actually going to happen or not, what that even looks like. It's still a disaster. Nobody knows who, if anybody, won. With real clarity, Iowa, right? Bernie got popular. Buttigieg got more delegates. Not quite. And I don't even know if I trust any of those numbers that came out because they bring them in. They still want to recanvass. It's just a debacle. But this is their last weekend to make some hay and noise because come tomorrow, it's go time.
What we have got to do is summon up the courage to take on the greed and the corruption in Wall Street, in the insurance industry, in the drug companies, in the fossil fuel industry, in the military industrial complex.
I mean, I keep asking people, like, what's it look like with Bernie if he's president? Because if you got your way, right? If Bernie got his way, what does that absolutely look like? And he was able to get some of these things through. What does it look like? Are you prepared for, you know what? Maybe it goes great. We're all like, wow, they got it right. Or maybe we look back in history and go, I don't know. I don't know if that's the way that things were supposed to go. Right? I don't know. But he's going to have a chance. Tomorrow's his go time. Does he unlock the momentum door and swings it wide open where Iowa should have probably been his, but because of the mess up, it took away any momentum, but he picks it up again and he's on to Nevada where he's doing pretty well. And then he surprises in a place like South Carolina where maybe he doesn't come in first, but he comes in second, or maybe he does. Maybe he does. I don't know. But I'm curious when I ask people, what happens if, and nobody ever gives me that answer when it comes to Bernie. Nobody can ever give me the answer. What is it? You know, you've got your socialist agenda, and I look at socialism in a much different way. In the 20-year-old and the 25-year-old and the 30-year-old who aren't studying of history, who aren't looking at the fall of socialism and communist countries, they're being told that this is what Denmark is and Norway, this is a Scandinavian thing. And guess what? They're a free market with some great social programs and safety nets, but they're not very forward thinking. They tried real socialism once and it went to hell in a handbasket. Right? They're a very monochromatic society. They don't have the diversity that we have. They also aren't a society where you go, wow, the ingenuity and greatness is coming out of there. So, because the stuff that does come out of that is forward thinking, that is entrepreneurial, and the ingenuity is huge. Usually they say, well, we've had enough. We're moving elsewhere because we feel like we're being stifled. So what they really do is they rob Peter to pay Paul. Then Paul robs Peter and Paul again. And then Mary comes over and it's just, we're just moving this to here to there. Nobody gets too far ahead. Nobody falls too far behind. But there's also something you need, which is the upper echelon to pay for this. Is it there?
Look, at the end of the day, the American people want to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. They want to make public colleges and universities tuition-free and cancel student debt by a modest tax on Wall Street speculation. The American people understand health care is a human right, not a privilege. The function of healthcare is not to make $100 billion for the drug companies and the insurance companies. The American people understand we have got to deal with the existential threat of climate change. Our agenda is the agenda of working class and middle class Americans.
Is it? Right? Is that what people are sitting around thinking about? Is that what they're talking about? Right? Because that's what a lot of people who are very privileged talk about. Right? A single mom that is struggling somewhere near the poverty line, she isn't waking up today going, man, I'm really worried about the climate change, right? She's trying to get through. But she's also saying, hold on a second. You know, when I was struggling a little bit ago, I'm not struggling like I once was. Things are getting a little bit better. Things are moving forward a little bit more. My life feels a little bit better.
somebody that likes their 401k right now but doesn't like the character of Donald Trump, how do you convince them to vote for you?
I convince them to vote for us because we are going to create an economy that works for the middle class.
But they think their economy works well for them.
Look, here is the reality. Half of the American people today are living paycheck to paycheck. Today, you got 500,000 people sleeping out on the streets when you got 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half of America. We're the only country in the world not to guarantee health care to all people. Got 45 million people struggling with student debt. Please don't tell me that this economy is working well for all people.
You know what? First of all, that's a bunch of crap. He knows it. And nobody challenges them the way they should. Hold on a second, Bernie. Right? Those people sleeping out on the street, a lot of them have real severe issues. Go to Los Angeles. Go to New York. Go to Seattle. That's drugs. That's not because somebody couldn't pay their rent. More often than not, it's an absolute disaster in places with generous programs to quote unquote help them that spend $700,000 on an apartment in Los Angeles, right? That's right. They built those giant apartments in LA. Nobody's in them yet. $700. The median price for a house in Los Angeles is about $600,000. These cost $700,000 a piece. So you act as if that everybody who's on the streets missed a payment on a house and they got kicked out. That's not the reality of it. A majority of the people out there have mental issues because of drugs, maybe, or maybe they just have mental issues and they lack the drugs. And no matter what you do, you're not going to reach those people where next thing you know, they're living back a normal life. Or people who have severe drug problems. There are some people out there that are struggling, but let's be real about this, right? We sold a bill of goods to a bunch of kids that this is what you have to do, and you have to go out and take these massive loans out. And they go and they do that, right? You guaranteed the loans, and in guaranteeing the loans, the government guaranteeing all these loans, guess what happens? Prices go through the roof. We can go on and on. But you go look at the economy. We talked about it last week, the Gallup poll. What did the Gallup poll say? 90% of Americans are satisfied with life right now. Satisfied with life. 90%. Do you understand what 90% is? And if you go across the averages, even down where people are making it 40,000 under, 86% of them were satisfied. Feel like their life is going in the right direction. Are we wanting to throw all of that up for a maybe? For a guy that continues to have to explain to himself exactly what he's trying to roll out and what this is all about. Right? Is that what people want? Because 20-year-olds don't know. 30-year-olds don't know. I mean, they look around and they see all of this stuff. And they think this is going to be great. He's going to get rid of this and he's going to get rid of that. First of all, Biden said it the other day. That sounds great, but are you actually going to get any of this stuff through? Right? Because I don't think he is. I don't think you think he is. But who is going to pay for it? I know you hate billionaires. I know you can't stand them. I absolutely know that because you talk about it all the time.
Unlike other campaigns, we don't have billionaires pouring huge amounts of money.
Huge.
We have got to recreate an American democracy based on one person, one vote, not billionaires buying elections.
Woo! Aren't you buying an election? Isn't that what your goal is? I mean, think about this for just a second. Your goal is to buy an election. You're buying people off with what? Free health care that somebody has to pay for, unless you're going to get the doctors and force them to work for free, the pharmaceutical companies, and force them to work for free. You're buying the election by saying you're going to pay off all of their debt. You're promising jobs in certain areas. You're buying it. That feels like you're buying it. At least Yang is honest. I'm going to give you guys $1,000. I'm like, all right, there you go. At least he's honest. Everybody's getting $1,000, right? And if you already get a certain amount of money from programs that you're taking advantage of, whether it's SNAP or some other things, then if you get $600 a month in that, you're only going to get $400. But everybody else is getting $1,000. It is amazing, though, right? Like, you're buying the election, too. You're promising people the world. The world. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Raycons, best around. Raycons. I was rocking out this weekend in my car. Had my Raycons on. So we were all in the car, and I'm like, I want to listen to my stuff. And, just doing stuff. Kids were bouncing around. I went to the bouncy place. Had my Raycons on. Rocking out my E25. 6 hours of playtime, right? Absolutely incredible. Bluetooth pairing, seamless, more bass, more compact designs. Incredible. What I love about it is the nice noise isolating fit. It is so easy. You just put them in there. Super comfortable, super nice, perfect for on-the-go listening, taking phone calls. It really is amazing. Here's the great thing. Jack and I had a big discussion about this, right? Because it's all about style. He loves them, right? The style's cool. And the sound's better. He's like, Dad, the other ones with the stems, they look cool with the phone, right? Because it matches the phone. And that's what kids care about. But the reality is they don't sound as good and they fall out of his ears. You won't have that problem with Raycons. Absolutely awesome. Cardi B loves them. She's obsessed. You will be too. Ray J's knocked out of the park with it. Now's your chance to not only get them at half of what all those other premium wireless earbuds would cost, but you're going to save 15% on that. It's simple and easy. You go to buyraycon.com/Chad. 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 Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
I just don't believe that things didn't happen with force.
Is it even a fair question to talk about it, considering he's no longer with us and that it was resolved? Or is it really part of his history?
I think that the media should be more respectful. At this time, it's like if you had questions about it, you've had many years to ask him that. I don't think it's something that we should keep hanging over his legacy. I mean, it went to trial.
Yeah, the case it was dismissed because the victim in the case refused to testify.
Yeah, Gayle King and Lisa Leslie. The interview that caused craziness. Lisa Leslie, probably arguably one of the top 5 female basketball players to ever play the game, talking about Kobe Bryant and his legacy 2 weeks removed from his death. This happened last week. People still have questions about what took place that night in Colorado. And I said you cannot talk about him and who he was without all of the things that came with who he was. But Gayle King has been destroyed by this. Now, Lisa Leslie, to her credit,
and at the end, when she said, it's time to leave it alone, as I said, I thought that was powerful. And I insisted that part be in the interview because I thought that it put a nice button on that part of the conversation. When the interview aired, we got a great reaction to it. I talked to Lisa last night. I believe that Lisa was okay with the interview.
Yeah. But what people saw was the salacious side. She talked about it. This is salacious. That's what it was. What people saw in the promo for it was, I'm going to take this, put this here, and then the craziness ensued, and it got ugly from the likes of Michael Rappaport.
Fucking Gayle King, goofy-ass, nasty-ass, disrespectful, asking the great, classy Lisa Leslie about accusations about the late, great Kobe Bryant. What Lisa Leslie should have said to you, what about the accusations that you and Oprah been freaking off for the last 35 years, and Stedman is a beard for that? What about those accusations? Let's talk about those accusations, Gayle.
He's such a clown, right? And it got worse from there. Then you got Snoop Dogg coming after Gayle.
We expect more from you, Gayle. Don't you hang out with Oprah? Why y'all attacking us? We your people. You ain't coming after fucking Harvey Weinstein asking them dumb ass questions. I get sick of y'all. How dare you try to tarnish my fucking homeboy's reputation? Respect the family and back off, bitch, before we come get you.
Now, hold on here. Slow down. Again, so they've attacked Oprah. They've attacked Gayle. They've really went hard for Gayle. In fairness, and we'll touch on what Snoop said after that. But it's an ugly situation.
The last 24 hours for your best friend have been pretty difficult after that interview with Lisa Leslie about Kobe. And I just wondered just how she's doing.
She is not doing well. May I say she is not? She is not doing well because she has now death threat and has to now travel with security. She's feeling very much attacked. You know, Bill Cosby is texting from, tweeting from jail.
Yeah, it's insane. Snoop Dogg come out afterwards, try to clarify some of his craziness.
I'm a nonviolent person. When I said what I said, I spoke for the people who felt like Gayle was very disrespectful towards Kobe Bryant and his family. Now, with that being said, what I look like wants some harm to come to a 70-year-old woman. I was raised way better than that. I didn't want no harm to come to her and didn't threaten her. All I did was said, check it out. You out of pocket for what you're doing and we watching you. Have a little bit more respect for Vanessa, her babies, and Kobe Bryant's legacy.
Actually, you didn't say that. You said, we'll come for you. I heard that, right? I heard that.
I'm going to do what I got to keep doing. Y'all keep doing what y'all doing. We're very nonviolent. We just want to say that first and foremost. We speak from the heart. Some of you who have no heart don't understand that.
Well, you came after her. You came for her hard. I found that to be ridiculous. And here's the thing, emotion, right? We talk about politics. You can evoke an emotion, somebody. You can get people to say and do crazy things. Hence the reason why we have this crazy cancel culture and the way that we attack each other online. And this is about a legacy of a basketball player who, yes, we have to talk about that because this encompasses all that he is, right? This encompasses all that he is.
What do you think about all that criticism?
I think the vitriol I think anybody can criticize anything, but the misogynist vitriol and the attacking to the point where it is dangerous to be in the streets alone, because it's not just the people who are attacking, it's the other people who take that message and feel like they can do whatever they want to because of it.
Yeah. And she had every right to ask that question, right? She had every right to ask that question, and people do. We saw it with the Washington Post reporter who posted something, and then she got 10,000 death threats, and then she was suspended from the Washington Post, and then people in the Washington Post world threw a fit about that over a story that she didn't write, Felicia Sonmens, and this is insane. You can ask the question. It's okay. It's okay. It's part of who he was. It's part of his legacy. He was found not guilty. He was found nothing. He paid a civil case amount of money, $2.5 million or something like that. It went away. But the reality is this is the stuff. And you see how people emotionally get out of control when it comes to sports. And in politics, it's the same thing. Get the people to have emotion. You'll get people to do things. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This goes beyond just whether a Democrat can win. This goes beyond replacing a man that, in fact, has just absolutely battered the soul of this country.
Battered the soul of this country. Last few hours to make your pitch to the people of New Hampshire. This is it. Last few hours to get it rocking and rolling. Joe Biden right there, who's now looking at potentially a third, fourth, fifth. Third may be awesome. He may come out of there tomorrow night if he finishes third and go, woo! He may finish fifth and say, uh-oh.
I don't think our sons are fair game at all. No one has said he's done anything wrong except the thug Rudy Giuliani. Come on. Rudy Giuliani?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Right? Go ahead, do your investigation, but when you don't get what you want out of it, then what? Like, I think it's a fair question. Right? And the Rudy Giuliani stuff is very real. Lindsey Graham this weekend talking about Rudy.
How could Joe Biden really fight corruption when his son's sitting on the Burisma board?
But can you clarify? You said you talked to Attorney General Barr
This morning.
Has the Department of Justice been ordered to investigate the Bidens?
No, the Department of Justice is receiving information coming out of the Ukraine from Rudy.
Already?
To see. He told me that they have created a process that Rudy could give information and they would see if it's verified.
I have a real problem with that. And let's not forget, right? I pointed it out over and over again. I said he's got a Rudy problem. Rudy and these two ding-dongs, right, that these misfits, Parnas and this Froman guy, they were trying to cut side deals for their own oil and gas stuff. And now you've got Rudy working as some de facto Department of Justice. Did you guys give him a badge? I mean, was that part of it? He's working on behalf of the campaign. That's fine. I have zero problems. But you're now reporting back to the AG rather than getting back to the campaign people over a guy that at this point in time looks like he's on fumes. That's it. I got an issue.
Rudy Giuliani is a crime fighter. He's loyal to the president. He's a good lawyer. But what I'm trying to say, that the Russians are still up to it. Deterrence is not working. So let's look at Hunter Biden's conflict. Let's look at Joe Biden. Vice President Biden, what did you do when they told you your son was on Burisma's board? It undercut your ability to fight corruption. Did you take it seriously? Obviously, he didn't.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's look at all of this stuff, right? But then what happens? Because you hear all these things. Do I care that he was on Burisma's board? No. Right? I got to be honest with you. I don't give a rat's ass. All of these people with last names like Bush and Biden and Clinton and all of these kids are going to have opportunities based on the fact, John Kerry's kid also was part of the group. Now, he wasn't on the Burisma, but he's part of that same group that Biden was with. Why? Because you're in circles that other people aren't in. That's the reality of it. Of course it was political. Duh. We're not idiots. But at the same time, focus on the things that matter, right? How is this helping anybody? How is this helping? Right? It's the same thing. When I listen to the likes of Sanders come out and he talks about, just this stuff that he throws out there that's just, it's great soundbite, but it means very little. And there's nobody ever asking him a good question about, hey, just out of curiosity, how are you going to actually pay for some of those things? Right? How are you going to do that? I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk there, old Bernie, but people are going to ask that question. They should be asking that question about, stuff like, your Green New Deal that you're super excited about. Because he is very excited about his Green New Deal. But at some point in time, as you're excited about the Green New Deal, people may ask you, how are you going to pay for that?
We will transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. And when we implement the principles of the Green New Deal, we create up to 20 million good-paying jobs.
Okay, how do you do that? Just curious. How are you doing this? So you're going to take people out of oil and gas, and you're going to get them what? You're going to take wildcatters, people who are moving these things, the people that are working there every single day, and over how many years is this going to take place? Right? Because you make it sound like it's overnight. So how many years does this take place? What kind of education do they have to have? Are you sure they're going to be capable of doing these things? What happens if? Right? That's the way government needs to run. You need to be forward thinking, but you also have to, what happens if? Because what you might want to do isn't going to get done. And part of the problem is because you've got a kitchen where everybody's a chef and nobody's a sous chef. Nobody's a server. Right? There's no barbacks. Everybody gets to be the chef. So while you're running the restaurant, you got a lot of other people who've got their fingers in these things. It's a fair question. How's this actually work? So you've got till tomorrow to make their decisions, and then we'll see what ends up happening. We'll see how it looks. I have a feeling it's going to look like this. Sanders, Buttigieg, Warren, Klobuchar, Biden. Fifth is not a good look for Biden. He didn't think he was going to do well here. If he would have finished second or even first in Iowa and he came in fifth here, I don't think anybody really care because the Klobuchar jumping over him is interesting, but now having come in fourth and potentially fifth, heading into Nevada where it doesn't look like it's his. It looks like a Bernie place again, and then seeing your huge lead in South Carolina just evaporate. Fumes is what this is. You're in fumes. You're driving around in fumes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Remember this budget thing?
The president's $4.8 trillion budget plan for 2021 wants to end the annual deficit after 15 years. It proposes to cut non-defense spending, foreign aid, and social safety net programs, while at the same time asking for slightly more money for the Pentagon. Democrats in Congress are expected to reject the plan.
Yeah, you think? Where do we go from here? Well, how about we cut across the board? How about we look at military spending and say, what's the absolute best stuff that we need and the stuff that we've signed contracts for, but that stuff's obsolete and then ends up sitting in a warehouse? How about we figure a way out of that? How about we buy our way out of that thing if we have to? Right? How about we do that? Social safety nets. How about we look at social safety nets, what we can cut, where they're duplicate agencies, where we're putting money that isn't giving us results and putting it towards money that is giving us results. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that, right? We can cut across the board and still not lose anything. But it's government. And in government, you have to spend your money. Because if you don't spend your money, the next time you go to ask for money, guess what happens? They don't have money. Yeah, that's right. Oh, you only spent $10 billion. We gave you 20. So we don't feel we should give you any more because you don't need it. So they have to spend the hell out of it. So we got to do the right thing. We have to do the right thing. This is where the Republicans miss the ball on more than a few occasions. This is where we absolutely miss the ball over and over again, right? When I look at military spending, right? You go look at military spending, which, by the way, Obama spent at times more than Trump has spent. But he also decimated at times. We went through a lot there. We put a cap on what we could all spend after 2007 and 8 when we went, right? But you go and look and say, all right, where do we need to spend that's real? How do we get the people that are in the field? How do we get the people that are in the theater? How do we get them the things that they absolutely must have? The stuff that works, that's more advanced than anything. And the stuff that's obsolete, the stuff that's going to sit inside of a warehouse, the contracts we've signed that, quite frankly, are horrible. How do we get out of those? Whether we buy out like a sports, right? You know, hey, you got 4 years left on your contract. We've got a buyout clause. We're going to buy you out of this, and we'll give you X amount of dollars, and you move on. Same thing with the social safety nets. What are we looking at here that's real? Because there's a lot of social safety net programs out there that take a lot of money and they don't do the things. They don't give you the results they're looking for. It's not about being a jerk. It's about, look, let's take the money and be wise. If you're looking for a broker out there, make sure they've got a fiduciary responsibility to you, meaning your money is the most important money. That's what our politicians have. They don't have any of those looks for us. It's the exact opposite because it's other people's money. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. AMAC, Association Mature American Citizens, fastest growing over 50 organization in the country. Doing what I'm just talking about there. They're out there fighting on your behalf for things like Social Security, Medicare, making sure they reform it, make sure they keep it solvent, making sure they don't break it, where politicians get their hands in it and they don't do the right things for it. They're fighting on your behalf for things like that. Plus, they're offering you benefits that are so amazing. Retail, restaurant, hotel discounts. I use my hotel discounts. 50% off movie tickets and amusement parks. You're going to love all the things. You got a problem about Medicare? You have a question? Call them up. They'll answer it for you. That's what AMAC does. They'll help you out in so many ways. Great discounts on insurance and so much more. And right now, they're offering a free membership. It is 1 year. It is free. It is on me. Go to amac.us/Chad. AMAC.us/Chad. There's no cost, no tricks, no credit card, none of that stuff. Just a free membership for 1 year. Try it today. amac.us/Chad. amac.us/Chad or call 888-355-1668. Chad Benson Show.
It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
When he was 17, my brother wrote this lyric. He said, "Run to the rescue with love, and peace will follow." Thank you.
Yeah, that was Joaquin's Phoenix last night finishing up his speech. But along the way, he talked about all kinds of things, very much into animals. Talked about cows.
We go into the natural world and we plunder it for its resources. We feel entitled to artificially inseminate a cow. And when she gives birth, we steal her baby, even though her cries of anguish are unmistakable. And then we take her milk that's intended for a calf and we put it in our coffee and our cereal.
It's true. It is. We do that. What would we do if we didn't have that? I think it's a fair question, right? We got to feed a lot of people. Should we get rid of people? Should we do that? Is that something you could do? If speech was interesting, I just thought we were talking about it. It just went a little bit too long today. Yesterday for like as he starts to go out and starts getting on to, the milk and the cows. And I said after, was it the Golden Globes? Nobody believed me. He went to like comfort pigs going to slaughter. He's an odd character. Hell of an actor. Brilliant actor. Is there some crazy with that? I think he acknowledged the fact that he's not easy to work with, right? I think he's America's version of kind of a Daniel Day-Lewis. Gets into that character, becomes kind of that person, quirky. A lot of people like that who are geniuses, and I think you can classify what he does in his world is he's somewhat of a genius. In saying that, last night I'm sitting there listening to them, and they're, it's like, do I, because I was listening to some of it on the way home, because I got home and I had other stuff to do, the family, I want to see the lizards, the whole 9 yards, and I was hanging out with Jack all weekend. But, I don't want to be lectured. I continue to say that. And that's what it felt like for a lot of people last night, just telling, shots at Trump. I don't care if it's shots at the other side. Right? Like, it's one thing when you're watching, Saturday Night Live and they're going after stuff and it's kind of, it's funny because it's meant to be satirical. It's another thing when you just get up and you feel like people are talking at you as if.
I don't know how or why it happened, but I am king of an army of internet trolls called Bernie Bros. Could I stop them in their tracks? Of course. Should I? Yes. Will I?
That makes me laugh because that's what it's there for. After a while, though, it's just the lecturing feels very smug. And I think a lot of people, even people I know who are on the left, are like, I just can't watch it because, I have friends who work in the business. He goes, they go up and they say stuff. I know these people. I hang out with these people, and they're full of crap. I grew up in Southern California. I have a lot of friends in the business. I know some of these people. I know what their real life looks like. Some of them are just virtue signaling. Some of them, they really believe it. But in saying all of that, I think we just want to be entertained, right? At the end of the day. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. If you want to fly and you're going to London and you want to get there quick, yesterday was the day.
The British Airways 747 landed early Sunday morning at London's Heathrow after taking off from New York's JFK just 4 hours and 56 minutes earlier. That breaks a 2-year subsonic passenger jet record, crossing the Atlantic between the two cities. The supersonic Concorde plane used to cross in just over 3 hours. It stopped flying in 2003. The British Airways flight took advantage of a jet stream being powered by a storm that was battering northern Europe.
Yeah, and it was going fast. I mean, they were well into the 800 mile an hour. And usually planes fly about, what they say, 3/4 the speed of sound. This was up there, and they say it got bumpy for just the early bits of it. Then they got a smooth ride, and it just unleashed. So I go and see my son Jack in San Diego, and I have a little new counter on my car to see how long it takes me to drive from like the Phoenix area down to San Diego. And it took me 4 hours and like 57 minutes to get home yesterday. So in that same time that I got home from San Diego, seeing my son, back out here, I could have flown from New York to London. Crazy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. What do you think? Do you think Biden is done? Do you think his goose is cooked? I think these next 2.5 weeks are going to be beyond telling for Biden. I think they are. And I've always said I don't think he's into it as much as other people want him to be into it. And I think he's starting to see that and then challenging that guy to call him a dog-faced pony boy or something. It's just pony soldier. Like, what are you talking about? He's so weird. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Little by little, candidate Trump's promise of a barrier separating the U.S. from Mexico is being realized. This week, President Trump will lay out a budget proposal that includes $2 billion in new funding for border wall construction. That's significantly less than last year's request, but the Defense Department is expected to announce that more Pentagon funds will go toward the project. The president saying that he doesn't need congressional approval to redirect military money to the wall.
Yeah, and the wall is, man, that was huge. I mean, for all the other stuff, I mean, Trump, the noise that Trump made during the campaign when he was running, coming down the, escalator, and then away he went. But it was the walls, the walls, the walls, the wall. I mean, that's where he was making his noise. The wall, the wall. That was about the wall over and over again, about the wall. It was the wall. It was the wall. It was the wall. It was making that noise over and over again. And then everything else. Well, the wall hasn't gotten done. There's been very little that's been built. And some of the places, including the place down in San Diego that was built, blew over and fell into Mexico. So that's not good. Now, there's plenty of wall. I drive between essentially my house through the certain parts of Arizona, past Yuma, into San Diego to go see Jack. And you can see a wall. I mean, it's a fence. Not much of it. It's a desolate area. And I've been down to Yuma and seen some of the wall that Obama built. But at the end of the day, it's a symbolic thing. I'm going to get this done. He mentioned last week inside of his speech that, of course, ended up being the speech that was torn up, torn around the world and all that stuff, and the non-handshake. Hey, many of you guys in here who are on the other side, you guys voted for Wall at one time, which is true. This shows you what gamesmanship goes on in the world of politics in this day and age. And it's ridiculous. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help anybody. Some of the wall may be built. I want to see what this budget looks like, because he's going to be cutting some things, putting some money back towards the military, putting some money towards Veterans Affairs, cutting some safety nets. What does that actually look like? And what actually gets through? That, at the end of the day, is the most important thing. What actually gets through, right? We talk about stuff all the time about, people worried of socialism and all of these massive, crazy, programs that people want to put through that are just, they're eye-popping. And the debates are one of these things where Biden had an awful debate. He's had an awful month, and it's showing in the polls, but he did get one good shot in. And it's the thing I continue to push. If the moderators, right? Stephanopoulos and them and David Muir, the moderators, whoever's moderating it, you are in so many ways as important as them, because your questions and how you can control the thing will give the people the answer that they're looking for. And too often than not, people ignore what they're doing, and they listen to, I was listening to the debate on the way home Friday night, and as I'm listening to it, I'm just shaking my head because everything Bernie says, you're just like, nobody's coming back at him hard, but Biden did.
Bernie says that you have to bring people together, and we have to have Medicare for all. But Bernie says, and he says he wrote the damn thing, but he's unwilling to tell us what the damn thing's going to cost. Who's going to pay for it? It will cost more than the entire federal budget we spend now. More than the entire budget. The idea middle-class taxes aren't going to go up is just crazy.
Yeah, right. And he's already said, well, of course they're going to go up, but you just don't have a deductible, and you don't have, you have copays, or you don't have any of these things. Well, yeah, that's true, but if, you're paying $1,000 a month now for you and your family, and you're taking out $1,500 or, $2,000 a month, well, that's not going to happen. How do you know it's not going to happen? Nobody ever asked you. Okay, Bernie, let me ask you a question. Say for the sake of argument, you're able to pass this thing. We'll touch on that in a second. And all of a sudden, the thing that you've passed costs more than you thought because it's government. And as we all know, government never really gets it right? They never do. They tell you it's going to cost A and really cost C, right? Jumps right over B at C. And you're like, oh my God, this is insane, right? Where does that extra money come from? Because at some point in time, you're going to run out of other people's money. OPM, other people's money. And then that 1% becomes the 5%. And that 5% becomes the 15%. That 15% becomes everybody. And that hurts. But before any of that, before we can even get to that, how the hell do you get it passed?
Imagine you're going to unite the country, walking into the Congress, say, I got this bill. It's going to provide Medicare for everybody. I can't tell you how much it's going to cost. We'll find out later. It's likely to be double everything we spend in the federal government. Who do you think is going to get that passed? I busted my neck getting Obamacare passed, getting every Democratic vote. I know how hard it is.
Yeah. So you're going to take over a sixth of the economy, a fifth of the economy. You're going to upend a bunch of people. You're going to put them on this over time. It's not happening overnight, but over time, you're going to do this. I'm curious how this works. I'm curious how you even get it passed. Because even if you have a bit of the Senate and you have the same thing you have in the House now, that's going to be tough. What's that look like? Because just think about this. There's a lot of Democratic senators and Congress people that have lobbyists that they work with from the world of the insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, medical companies, that will look at this and say, so you're going to basically, take our patents? Right? Tell us what we can and can't do? You're going to move, how is this going to work? We helped you. But that's not, no, that's the reality of what it looks like. That's what those things are. That's why you have lobbyists. They go out and do that. We can debate whether or not there should be lobbyists. We can debate, but I've always said people who are lobbyists have something and people who are politicians that have something. One has power and influence. The other one has money and influence. And they're trying to buy each other's influence. I don't see how you get it passed. Even because there's going to be a lot of conservative Democrats out there who say, yeah, this is a bridge too far for us. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. With all of that being said, of course, Friday was a bloodletting. And then you got Lindsey Graham coming out talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. And I continue to say the same thing. Trump has a Rudy problem.
How could Joe Biden really fight corruption when his son's sitting on the Breeze board?
But can you clarify? You said you talked to Attorney General Barr.
This morning.
Has the Department of Justice been ordered to investigate the Bidens?
No. The Department of Justice is receiving information coming out of the Ukraine from Rudy.
Already.
To see. He told me that they have created a process that Rudy could give information and they would see if it's verified.
Why? Who cares? Well, Chad, you should care. Why do I care? What do I care that some kid of a politician is? Do you know how many kids are sitting on politicians sitting on boards across this country and everywhere else? They use the name. And get over it. Well, we've got to investigate. At this point in time, I've showed people over and over the time lapse of the entire thing, how the thing broke out, how the thing broke down. Who cares that he was making $80,000 a month? Did he get that job because he has a great idea? No, he got the job because he has the opportunity to go curry favor with other politicians, including his pops. That's a very real thing. It's a very real thing. And if you want to investigate it, I'm just saying to myself, this is it. This is tit for tat. This is stupid.
Rudy Giuliani is a crime fighter. He's loyal to the president. He's a good lawyer. But what I'm trying to say, that the Russians are still up to it. Deterrence is not working. So let's look at Hunter Biden's conflict. Let's look at Joe Biden. Vice President Biden, what did you do when they told you your son was on Burisma's board? It undercut your ability to fight corruption. Did you take it seriously? Obviously, he didn't.
Mm-hmm. Do you know he didn't? I mean, the Obama administration alerted, said there may be some conflicts of interest here. There you go. Look into it a little bit more. That's fine. I just think at some point in time, though, you just got to let it go. Just like the Democrats have to let it go. What are you guys doing? You're chasing a guy and information on a guy that, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much done at this point. If you ask me today, do I think Biden has a chance based on everything I've seen? A small chance. I would have said it was 50-50 4 weeks ago. At this point in time, and just watching him, I don't think his heart is in it. I think he thought he was more up to the task. I think the death of his son, Beau, he has never recovered. Guy's had a lot of tragedy. Lost his wife and kid, his young daughter, when he was, first into the politics, and he's had a lot of tragedy along the way. And I just don't think he's in it. I don't fault the guy for it, but I watch him, and I just don't think there's any there as far as there's no oomph, right? He's running not to lose, and I think it almost looks at times like he's running for other people. He's running for other people. Like, I'm doing this for you, I'm not doing it for me. That a lot of people got in his head, told him this would be great. A lot of people got in his head, said, you can do it. A lot of people got in his head, said, let's go. We can do this. And I think he doesn't want to disappoint some people, let some people down, but I don't think he's into this thing. I just don't. Bernie's into it. Buttigieg, Klobuchar, Warren, Yang, right? They're all into it. I'm not talking about Tom Steyer. He's useless. They're into it. But I don't think Joe is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. You can text us. You can tweet at us. Check out the Instagram as well. I work out a ton. I'm very active. In fact, so far today, let me tell you this. I have done an hour and 20 minutes of working out. And I'll probably do a little bit more later on tonight. Probably play a little bit more soccer tonight. That'll be fun. I love what I do, and I love Beat Elite. Beat Elite is incredible. It really, really, really is. So it gives me a natural edge. So I get more out of playing soccer, get more out of my workouts. That's why I started taking it. So Human created Beat Elite. It helps extend endurance, improve energy and stamina, increases oxygen delivery throughout the entire body. That's why, especially when I'm playing soccer, normally I try to do about 35 minutes on my own of just hard workout. And I've noticed that my workouts are getting longer, and I'm feeling better because I try to squish everything in between all of my shows, and it's amazing. It really, really is. You're going to feel it. You're going to get into it. You're going to love what it does for you. Check this out. Beat Elite is used by all kinds of massive superstar athletes and organizations across the globe. Now's your chance. Do what I did. Make your workout longer. Feel better. Take your game to the next level with Beat Elite. Go to livehuman.com/Chad. You can save 20% off your first purchase just for my listeners. They wanted to give it to somebody to try who does work out on a daily basis, does stuff. That's why they give it to me, and I love it. Try it yourself. You're going to feel better. Absolutely. You're going to see the difference, too. You're going to feel it. That is livehuman.com/Chad. livehuman.com/Chad. Save now. Chad Benson Show.
need to fear. We promise we won't give you a noogie and make you cry Russia, Russia, Russia.
Who is the fearless leader?
Fui.
Fui, and double fui.
What is your language? This is a family show, remember?
Fui to families too.
Nostrovia. This is Chad Benson.
Right, Eli. Rob is number 4 in the slot. Sounds like he checked the play.
4th and 6 going for it. Jones, deep shot. End zone, got a man. It's caught. Touchdown.
Yeah, the magic that is the XFL debuted over the weekend. Solid TV ratings. Crowds were about 20,000. Some interesting things inside of it. It wasn't the worst. The AFL or the AAF or whatever, the Association of American Football, whatever that thing was that fell apart 8 games into the season last year, was a debacle. Didn't know, like, you couldn't find out where they were playing. You didn't know, like, this was much better run. The football actually looked semi-okay, right? It looked like a preseason game, but that's kind of what it is, right? These guys are getting like a 10-week season or whatever. It's not like they all went to training camp at the same place, and it's football. They're going to try some new things. They're going to be different, and they're coming at this in a much different way. So let's see here. Games played in the national capital this weekend. Again, about 17,000 was the attendance. 6.4 viewership was the biggest audience. Viewership averaged 3.3 million. That's about 4 million. Not the worst. Again, Saturday afternoon, you know where it's at. You're seeing essentially guys who are practice squad players. Maybe some guys who were in the NFL, out of the NFL, trying to get back in the NFL. If you like football, I watched a little bit. Jack and I, my son, we watched a little bit. It wasn't the worst. I don't know if I'll tune in all the time, but it wasn't like the last one, which was a debacle earlier this year. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. All right, Valentine's Day. What are the number one romantic comedies across the country? 4,500 Americans were polled in a survey. Here's some of the big winners in this. 40-Year-Old Virgin was a big winner. Big time. 19 states said that was their favorite. Bridesmaid was number 2. 13 going on 30, 500 Days of Summer, and Wedding Crashers. I saw 13 going on 30. I don't know if that was romantic comedy. 500 Days of Summer. Did not see Wedding Crashers. I never thought of it as really a romantic comedy, right? It was a dude's movie that happened to have some romance in it. Bridesmaids was pretty good. And 40-Year-Old Virgin, Here were some of the things you could have chosen from some of the other movies. Under the Tuscan Side, Chocolat, Juno, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, Bridget Jones' Diary, Amélie, Love Actually, Enchanted. I like Love Actually. That's a good movie. It's a Christmas movie, though. That's the way I always look at it. It's a romantic Christmas movie. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Lightstream. Holidays behind you. You're looking around. You're trying to get your finances under control, and you're thinking to yourself, I'm paying huge amounts of interest on my credit cards. I don't need to do that. Let's do something smarter. That's where Lightstream comes in. It's easy to get that done. Why? Credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream. How about this? Rates as low as 5.95% with APR with auto pay. Much lower than the national average, which is right around 20. You can get a loan from $5,000 to $100,000. Easy to apply. No fees. None of this stuff. People send me stuff all the time. I didn't realize how easy it was, Chad. I went, I listened to your ad, I applied online, I applied on my phone. There's no fees, none of that stuff. Get all of this sorted out. Plus, just for being my listeners, I'm going to save you even more. Now, how do you get this massive discount? You go to lightstream.com/Benson. That's LIGHTSTREAM.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. This is it. Tomorrow, it's big. It's go time. It's New Hampshire. Could this be the beginning of the real end for Biden? How will Bernie do? Who will surprise and who's going to let us down? We'll discuss it all and so much more. Follow along at Chad Benson Show for your Twitter and Instagram. Have a beautiful rest of your day. We'll do it again tomorrow. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.